Tony Perez at first base. At second is Ron Oster. Wade Rowden will be the shortstop. Buddy Bell at third. Nick Osaski is in left field. Max Venable gets the start in center because Eric Davis, that hand, he re-injured it last night. He says he should be out just 1 day. Dave Parker will be in right field. Behind the plate is Bo Diaz, and on the mound, Scott Terry. And the lineup that Terry will be facing has Len Dykstra leading things off. He'll be in center field. Hitting second is Wally Backman, the second baseman. Third, Keith Hernandez. Batting fourth, Gary Carter. And it's Darryl Strawberry in right field, hitting in the number 5 position. Danny Heap tonight, well, will be in left field and be hitting in the number 6 position. So reverse those roles, Strawberry and Heap, as you see them on your screen. It will be Strawberry in right and Heap in left. Ray Knight is at third base. Rafael Santana is the shortstop, and Bob Ojeda is on the mound, and he will be batting in the number 9 position. Well, Scott Terry is making his second start of the season.
There's a leadoff batter, Lenny Dykstra, and one of the fine leadoff hitters in all of Major League Baseball. And very simply, this young man puts the bat on the ball. First pitch swung on, fly ball, hit deep. Venable going back. He's got it, and this game is underway. Now, Len Dykstra, a notorious first ball hitter. He went after the first 2 pitches on consecutive at-bats last night, a base hit and a hard ground out. And here's the first pitch of tonight's game from Scott Terry.
Wade Rowden was telling me he had to be prepared for that. He was told that by his manager, Pete Rose. The guy likes to go after the first pitch. Now Max Venable understands that as he was turned around in center field.
.289 batter, 14 homers, 53 runs batted in. One of 3 Mets who were on the National League All-Star starting lineup in that All-Star game last Tuesday night in Houston. And Terry behind now, ball 3. George Foster finds himself in a platoon situation now with his club, and he normally starts only when a left-hander is pitching, and that means he would be in the lineup tomorrow night against Tom Browning. But it is indeed quite a come down for Foster. All those great years he had here in Cincinnati, and really has not panned out in New York. He's been a major disappointment in light of the kind of contract that he received when he went over there and what he's been able to produce. So there's a walk to Strawberry, the second allowed by Terry in as many innings. They have to go 9-2 in order to equal that record, and certainly not beyond their capabilities, but you can't like their chances. Strawberry running. The throw by Diaz, and not in time. Rowden is arguing, but I'll tell you what, Wade looked like he stopped his movement towards second base 1 step too soon and had to reach back and make the tag. Let's look at it.
Strawberry gets the jump, but the throw is a very fine one from Bo Diaz, and Darryl Strawberry, they're saying, is in there, but I don't know. Let's see, as Wade Rowden gets the tag down, they're saying Strawberry got the foot on the outside of the bag.
Oh, he's in there easy.
Yes, he is. He sure
and that's
is.
because Wade didn't go far enough to the bag to take the throw from Bo Diaz. If he takes one more step, he's got Darryl Strawberry.
An excellent throw from Bo.
3-2 on Heap as the Mets try to get something going now in the second.
The argument comes from the other side. Darryl Strawberry, who this time thought he got back in time to beat Wade Rowden, but Rowden was there, and the umpire, Dana DeMuth, bangs him out immediately. Oster going high to Spirit, underhand toss to Wade Rowden, and yes, he's there, and double play.
Good call by the umpire on both counts, and that helps the cause as Heap lines into a double play. Nobody on, 2 out, and Ray Knight as you look at it from a different perspective. They've had a pretty good run of late against left-handed pitching, but when you've been playing the kind of baseball they've been playing, you're going to have success no matter who you might go against. But boy, this guy's something. And Tony comes up with a second Reds base hit. Second base runner for Cincinnati. This pitch looked to be down, and it was. And Tony went right out and got it and laced it right back through the middle. Well, Well, here's a fella now stepping in with 2 out, and Tony Perez at first base, and they are collecting that baseball because that is career hit number 2,700 for Tony Perez. That will be a souvenir along with the many that he has had in a tremendous, and I might add of a personal nature, a Hall of Fame career that he can add to his collection. And they typically come to their feet in a standing ovation here at Riverfront Stadium for one of the all-time favorite players. And there's one of his closest friends, Pete Rose, leading the applause. Steinbrenner ever made was firing Dick Howser when he was managing the New York Yankees, and there are a lot of people in this game pulling for Dick Howser tonight, I'll tell you. Well, now he swings the bat like an outfielder. He took a ball, he rammed one through the left side. Hey, that's something else. You put this guy in the pitching rotation and give him a chance to get 3 or 4 at-bats every 5 days, and I think he's going to show you how he hit when he was an outfielder.
He only hit .238, though, but he hits this one like he had about an average of over .350. He just slams it in between the third baseman and the shortstop. Now, most opponents, like the Mets, want that pitcher leading off. They got him here in the 3rd inning, and all Scott Terry does is come through with a base hit.
And you know how good a batting average of .238 average is for a pitcher?
It's outstanding. But for an outfielder, they tell you, have you ever thought about pitching?
Yeah. That's what they said to him.
And he said, okay.
Reds have their 3rd hit. Let's see what Max Venable can do after taking a look at Ojeda in the 1st inning. He bounced him out to Ray Knight at 3rd. And the Mets infield defense now looking for the bunt. Knight really pulled in at 3rd base. Keith Hernandez, however, playing behind Terry at 1st. Good bunt. And the sacrifice successful.
So the first real threat for the Cincinnati Reds this evening is underway. Runner at 2nd base with only 1 out. And Venable pushing it down the 1st base side. Fine fielding pitcher is Bob Ojeda. He's there to scoop it up and then kind of toss it left-handed to Keith Hernandez.
Came into this game batting .285 against the league and .316 against New York, and can count one of his 19 home runs against Mets pitching, and there's a nickname that he acquired while with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the folks that have that Cobra sign draped over the green deck and right would like Dave to deposit one in that general vicinity. Again, 7 of his 19 home runs this season have come off left-handers, and he had only 7 all year off of left-handers in '85. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And if there's a way that pitchers this year have been attacking Dave Parker, this is it. Breaking stuff on the outside corner of the plate to get him fishing.
Steve, you made a great point earlier about likening the '86 season of Bob Ojeda with that of John Tudor last year, and there it goes. It is 2-0 Cincinnati. He did not miss by a whole lot of dropping it over that Cobra sign in right field. He lights up left-hander Bob Ojeda as they explode those fireworks overhead. And big number 39 takes the grand tour as the Reds take a 2-0 lead on Dave Parker's 20th of the year. And Dave, this bud's for you.
Right now, of course, it's easy to sit up here and say it, but you just throw 2 more pitchers in that same spot, and if he can hit one, well, he does it. But just don't walk him.
He does. Missing the outside corner. Ball 4. So that's the 3rd walk in the game that Scott Terry has allowed in the game. And here comes Bob Ojeda in a bunting situation.
looking further at the scores, Steve, Detroit, boy, they've been getting great pitching. Fourth inning, they're shutting out Minnesota 1-0, and the Yankees shutting out Texas 6-0 in the third at Yankee Stadium. So you mentioned the fact that Kansas City is up 4-3 over Baltimore. Cleveland is now 7-2 over the White Sox in the third. Pat Corrales.
He just keeps on getting the job done, and there's the bunt taken by Tony Perez, and he cuts down Rafael Sandana. Excellent play by Tony Perez.
Well, there's a play, you know, that'll happen so many times, and I'm sure that Tony heard. There's another look at it. Now, Ojeda bunts a bit hard, but a good play by Tony, and he doesn't waste any time. He just turns and fires down to Wade Rowden, and Wade had visions of a double play, but Tony came up. Now, if he comes up and looks, now it's a different problem. But you can see right there, he came up and let fly, and they get Santana easily, and Santana hooking Wade to keep him from getting rid of the throw, but Wade taking the ball out of his glove dropped it. But out number one, the big one.
Yes, indeed, as Len Dykstra stands in there. He is a threat to hit a home run. He has 5 this year. We all remember his very first here at Riverfront Stadium, and when he was just called up from Tidewater a year ago, smashed one down the right field line, and it hit the foul pole for home run number 1. The Mets went on to beat the Reds that evening 3-2. Dwight Gooden, the winning pitcher. And he lines one hard in the gap. Ojeda will make the turn at second. Head to third. Venable with the relay. Will there be a play at the plate? Here's the throw from Ron Oster. It's cut off. And it's a 2-1 ball game. And Dykstra has himself a 3-base hit.
Well, the little guy Dykstra, I tell you, he hits the ball, it seems like hard. Here's another look at it, and not a bad looking pitch, a little on the inside half the plate and down, but Dykstra, I tell you, he's an aggressive little hitter. He walks up there cutting and slicing, and he's hit the ball hard 3 times tonight, in all honesty, and has gotten we finally got a base hit.
Backman stands in there after the visit from Scott Breeden with the count 1 ball, no strikes. Little grounder. Ron Oster's coming home. Gets Len Dykstra at the plate.
Well, that's an excellent play by O. As he is coming right straight at home plate. Here's another look at it, and so sinking fastball away from Backman. Oster coming, getting it on a good hop and throwing on the move, and Dykstra is out easily. Good tag by Bo. He was going to get in there if he had a tank.
Boy, he gave him a little muscle there with the tag, Joe.
He's got a home plate covered. Look at here. Now Backman trying to get around him, and he looked like he tagged him right in the face.
2 outs. A man on first. A 2-1 ball game. Cincinnati has the lead as we are in the top of inning number 5. Rips one by Ron Oster. Backman will wait the turn, but that's all because Dave Parker's the man firing that baseball back in from right field. So runners on first and second for Gary Carter, who has been up there with runners on base his last 2 times. Both times he was unable to come through, as Terry struck him out in the first, and Tony Perez erased Gary Carter on a line drive back to him in inning number 3. Gentlemen had the game-winning hit last night to beat Cincinnati. Score was 1-0 with Hernandez and Strawberry on when Carter ripped one to left field. 2 scored, and the Mets went on to win 4-2. 2 on for Gary Carter here in the 5th. Popped up. Diaz, does he have a play? Yes, he does. Fine defensive play for Bo Diaz to end the Mets 5th. And at the end of 4 1/2 innings of play, it's Cincinnati 2, New York 1.
Situation is how many pitches he's thrown, and that might be a criteria as far as how far he was going to pitch this afternoon or this evening. But Scott pitched very well. He walked 3 in his 5 innings out there. The Mets had 5 hits. He had a couple of strikeouts, but I think he has to be very pleased with the way he pitched tonight.
So Cal Daniels will fill in there. His average this year is .333. He's making his 70th plate appearance. He has a couple of home runs and 10 RBIs. He was last night's starter for Cincinnati, and the first time up, he doubled. Let's see what he does here. He's been an outstanding pitch hitter for Cincinnati this year with 6 hits. As a pinch hitter, he takes strike 1 from Bob Ojeda. And laces one back up the middle. That's a base hit. So 7 pinch hits for Cal Daniels this year, and it looked like it went right between the legs of Bob Ojeda or by his leg.
Well, Cal is, I guess everybody has heard, is an excellent young hitter, and you could see on the pitch he hit off Ojeda, he just flicked the bat on it, just laid the bat on the ball, then over swing, and hits it up the middle, and good start here in the 5th inning for the Reds.
Max Venable now stands in there. You see what he did in the 3rd. Back in the 1st, he grounded out to the 3rd baseman Ray Knight. This time Knight is way pulled in at 3rd base, anticipating another sacrifice, and they almost have Daniels picked up. Yes, they do. Got him leading and got him picked off.
They really, Ojeda now, of course, I don't know if Cal has ever seen him. You could kind of see Keith Hernandez right there block him off the plate with a foot, but I don't know that, or off the bag with his foot. I doubt if he made it back anyway, but you know, I guess you gamble and it didn't pay off.
And here comes Buddy Bell. Ball 1. Misses ball 2. Well, Buddy Bell is hitting .395 with 5 RBIs in his last 10 starts, and that .395 evens out to a 15 for 38 performance. He's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball. And he drives one deep to left. Look out here.
Up, all right.
Buddy Bell, this Buds for you. Home run number 6 on the season, and the Reds lead is back to 2.
Buddy went right down and got that one. Now here's another look at it. Watch this. He just goes right there and gets it. A little under the glove there. Boom. Just a question of if it was going to be high enough.
2. He reminds me a little of Ken Daly of St. Louis, the way he winds up and throws the fastball.
Well, he doesn't have as big a kick, I don't think, as Daly does. He's a little more, I think he'd be more sneaky than Daly is.
Struck him out. Darryl Strawberry, as you can tell, disagrees with home plate umpire Jerry Davis.
Well, they've had several. Here's another look at it. Now, what do you think? Well, that's, you know, from the camera angle, that does kind of look outside, but we'll take it. Darryl not happy. It's Jerry Davis. Ain't a whole lot you can do about it once he raises that right hand.
That's 1 out.
Start walking. Mention it.
And bring a new guy up there. This case, it's Danny Heath, to be followed by Ray Knight.
Goodbye, Darryl Strawberry.
Wow. And here comes
I
Steve
think
Johnson.
it's Strawberry. Jerry Davis, he got somebody over there. He didn't fool around. And now Davy Johnson and Ray Knight talking with Jerry Davis. And I don't know who it is. I would have to think it's Strawberry. It looked like Davis just turned and said, "You're out of here," and not knowing who it might be over there, it said it. I've seen it happen. And before, where the umpire said, "Well, I got to get somebody," and he turns and throws that somebody out. So let's see who takes a walk. I think Vern Hershide is going to try to get the heave-ho here. He's walking down the dugout. Usually in a case like that, you try to get someone that has no bearing on whether he can win or lose a ball game. And certainly Vern Hershide doesn't have any bearing. Great guy. Well, it's not Vern. So let's see who it is. Dave Johnson. You can see him walking down the dugout, and let's see who is he going to point to. Darryl Strawberry, and that's who it's going to be. So Big Darryl is by you, and I don't know. That might be possibly the first time in his career. Darryl is usually a very quiet young man, but let's see if he has a last shot. There, yep, there it is. And there he's giving some very kind words to Jerry Davis. Expletive
as I make my exit in Jerry Davis with the stare over at the Mets dugout. But that is one young man that can change the complexion of the game around with one swing. Out of the lineup now. Has gone 3-1. And Joe Nuxhall at that time was saying, "Hey, throw it right down the middle, make that young man hit the ball."
If he can hit it out, more power to him. But boy, you don't want to put him on and have a guy that you know can cause you problems.
Santana with a little grounder to Wade. Rowden scoops, tosses to second, not in time. Rowden kind of got crossed up out of shortstop. And they will call that an error.
Looked like Santana got jammed on the ball, and that ball must have taken a funny kick on Wade. He was there. In fact, it looked like he might have kicked his own glove. So a break for the Mets, and here's George Foster.
Error on Wade Rowden after turning in a flawless defensive game this evening and last night against the New York Mets. Rob Murphy now has the count to George Foster with 2 on, 2 out. And the man who carries the bat when he played in his Cincinnati days, what, Black Death? And they asked him the question after those 52 home runs, did you have cork in the bat? And he said, no, the cork is in the arms.
And in the ball.
And it jumped out of there.
They were legitimate, I'll tell you that. Here's a look at Anderson, who will take over for Bob Ojeda. This is only the 4th time that George has gone to the plate as a pinch hitter this year. He was 0 for 3. Hopefully 0 for 4 after this one. All right.
Center field. Parker just in front of Max Venable for the final out of the inning, and the Reds get out of the jam set up by the New York Mets. It's a 3-1 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 6th. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs with a man on. Rowden was going to throw to second base, not in time. And the count is 3-2 to Perez.
Here's another look at Wade, and he gets a pretty good jump. He takes a look at plate, and now the headlong slide, and just in under the tag by Santana. And another look at it. He is definitely there, and as Santana tags him on the right shoulder. Now Gary Carter, a little chat with Rick Anderson. Full count to Tony, and I would have to think that you're not going to give in to Tony Perez, but Ron Oster has been swinging the bat very, very well from the left side.
Yes, indeed, he has hit it safely in 13 of his last 16 games. But Perez up there trying to put a little more insurance into the Reds' lead right now that is 3-1. Bouncer back Hoffman takes it. And Perez is history, and so are the Reds here in the 6th. They leave a man. They get the base hit from Wade Rowden, but the score at the end of 6 is 3-1 Cincinnati.
Hey, I hope you're eating potato chips, because I got to show you something. These Delta Gold brand potato chips are so fine you can even see how good they taste. Check this out. Get out one of the chips you're eating and bring it up here. Now, I'll take out one of my chips, and you put your chip next to mine. You see how golden and light-colored these Delta Gold chips are? Well, that's exactly how they taste. Delta Gold chips absolutely sparkle with flavor, and the final proof is you take one out, you pop it into your mouth, and the bing! You are golden.
New Delta Gold brand. You can see how good they taste.
You're watching Reds baseball on the Cincinnati Reds television network. And distributors, a new pitcher, and Joe, tell us about him.
Well, lefty Randy Myers, and this will be his 3rd appearance since joining the Mets from Tidewater. Owns a .540 earned run average. He's worked just an inning and 2/3, allowing 3 hits. And he throws over to first. He struck out 1 and has hit a batter.
So with Kurt Stilwell on first base, Max Venable will be the first man that he will face. And he has the count to Max. 1 ball, no strikes. Myers trying to show off his move that Max Venable saw the last time he was at home plate. Cal Daniels was there. Bob Ojeda was pitching, and Ojeda picked off Cal Daniels. Stilwell edging out, trying to get that right foot on the carpet, and Venable with a high chopper. Safe. Quick toss, not in time. Now they get Stilwell as he slides off the bat. Dane and DeMuth right there, the second base umpire. He ruled Stilwell safe on the slide, and you can almost see the disgust in the face of Pete Rose.
Well, here's another look at it, and you can see the safe ball. You can't, but there's Kurt sliding over the bag, and there's the tag, and that's an out. A tough one. Kurt looked like he was really bent on breaking up the double play, and he had that done very well, although I don't think there would have been any chance.
To deny the Mets and collect another save. Number 9 would be it.
Well, he'll be facing Gary Carter, as you see, to begin the 8th inning. And a very high fly ball. It'll be Venable. 1 pitch, 1 out. Well, Carter may well be done as far as this night is concerned at the plate, and if he is, he will have capped off an 0 for 4 night. Meanwhile, Kevin Mitchell comes up for the first time. Very impressive numbers for a young man who has started at 5 different positions this season. Right field included among those 5, and that's a position he was forced to come off the bench and play when Darryl Strawberry was pitched out of here. And it's Venable again, and there are 2 men out, and whoa, he turned that into a circus catch. That baby might have had a little rise on it. It was hit so hard that it might have been taking off on Max, and watch this play. Hang with him.
Had it all the way.
Yeah.
Boy, he twists him around, and you can tell, Marty, as you said, the ball was kind of on a rise. At that occasion, you think the ball's going to die and come right to you, but it just went right over his head, and if not for a fine athletic maneuver for Max Venable, he pulls it in.
He's had a workout. Here's Danny Heath. Have gotten good pitching up to this point. Terry went 5 and allowed 5 hits and a run. Murphy won a couple of innings, did not give up a hit, struck out 1 and walked 2, and now it's Robbie, hopeful of finishing and picking up his 9th save. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Wild ones they had.
Now there's a base runner for New York as they pick up their 6th hit and their first hit since the single by Hernandez back in the 5th. Ray Knight. A base hit his first time up in the game, but since that time has flied out twice, once to center and once to right. Here in the top of the 8th. Reds have gotten their runs on home run power from Dave Parker and from Buddy Bell. Mets scored their only run to date in the 5th inning on a triple by Lenny Dykstra. And Knight behind on that foul back. As Heap takes his lead at first, and Ron Robinson concentrating on the sign flash by Bo Diaz. Oster, Perez, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We're in the middle of the 8th inning, and the Reds lead New York by that score, 3-1.
The talk in Cincinnati when the Reds had tripped it to 4 is, hey, where is the path now? All the gates are open. You just have to walk in. But then Houston keeps on fighting. So is San Francisco. And the rest of the West keeps on faltering with the exception of Cincinnati. But Atlanta and L.A. and San Diego are just going through some struggling times.
Well, the Reds would like to think those struggles from the Western Division clubs would continue into next week and beyond, because they'll be back in the West beginning on Monday in San Diego. Hernandez, good play. And they're 2 men out.
There's Keith again backhanding it. He's one of the finest defensive first basemen in baseball. So many gold gloves, and there's another reason why.
Wade Rowden had a base hit his last time at the plate in the 6th inning when he singled to left. Batting a solid .281. Well, that mound has been a busy place for New York. Bob Ojeda, Rick Anderson, Randy Myers, and now Doug Sisk. Anderson went 1 1/3, giving up 2 hits. Myers 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit and a walk. Sisk trying to bail him out and leave Parker on base. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now the plate umpire, Jerry Davis, is going to, with that bat, measure the batter's box. I wouldn't be surprised if Gary Carter might have said something to Jerry Davis.
Wade Rowden, though.
A little psychological warfare going on right there. So Wade well within the confines now as he gets a toe hole with that back right foot, only inches in front of the back line, as drawn by Jerry Davis. Good stop by Carter. Parker not going anywhere. Hey, sooner or later, Rowden is going to touch somebody up. He showed power in the minor leagues. He's yet to hit his first big league home run. And the count is full. With the attendance tonight of 23,707, the Reds now show a season's paid attendance of 892,764. A very good chance to go over 1 million in home paid attendance before this homestand comes to an end. This plays it. That's all for Cincinnati in the 8th. No runs, no hits, no errors for New York, and the Reds leave a man. And on we go to the 9th inning with the Reds in front, 3-1. 8 innings of baseball are in the books here at Riverfront Stadium, and the Reds enter the 9th inning with a 2-run lead over New York. Ronnie Robinson, hence 3 outs away from recording a save, and will be facing Howard Johnson, who will come off the bench to pinch hit for Rafael Santana, then Mookie Wilson, and then Len Dykstra. So left-handed batting Johnson, followed by left-handed hitting Wilson, and another left-handed swinger in Len Dykstra. Maybe Johnson has things in his court here in the 9th inning in terms of the percentages, but Robinson, if he's on top of his game, you can take those percentages and file him. Right now, he has squared the count on Johnson at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Robbie going after his 9th save of 1986. Strike 3 call, and the ball kicked away by Johnson. Robbie picks it up, and the throw hits Perez. Now what are they going to do? The ball got away from Bo Diaz. He went after the ball as Johnson broke down the line. Johnson inadvertently kicked the ball. Robinson picked it up, and look at this argument as Doug Harvey, the crew chief, gets together with third base umpire Eric Gregg. And what are they going to call, if anything? There's no question that Johnson would have been out. Diaz was within inches of picking it up when Johnson's foot kicked it up the first baseline. And Ronnie Oster irate along with Pete Rose and Dave Parker, which might indicate that Howard Johnson, despite the strikeout, is going to be a base runner. I have never, ever seen that before. One thing you have to realize is that Howard Johnson by no means purposely kicked the ball. It was accidental or incidental contact. Watch it again. This is a bizarre play. There's strike 3 call. Now watch. His left foot kicked the ball. Robinson made a good effort. His throw hits Johnson, and then the argument results. Here's another look at it. Should get a clearer view of Johnson kicking the ball as he broke out of the box, and there was a contact made. Meanwhile, as you get still a third look at it. They better be concerned about calming Ron Robinson down, because he's got a hair trigger temper also, and Tony Perez now saying something to him as the 4 umpires get together, and normally when they do that, trouble results. Doug Harvey is an umpire who claims to have seen everything that could ever occur of a somewhat off-the-wall nature in baseball. I would love to know if he's ever seen that play. I think Johnson's going to stay at first. You have to do is look at Pete Rose's face to tell that the decision has already been rendered, and it is not a favorable decision for the home team. Here it is again. Now, from this look, Robinson will block out the contact, but it was made, as we saw from another look earlier, when he accidentally kicked it with his left foot. And now Billy DeMars has been thrown out of the game as he continues to carry the argument to Doug Harvey, and I believe he's been thrown out. Pete Rose, who had headed back toward the dugout, has gone back out. And you know this can continue from now until the sun comes up, and the umpires have made their decision, and it ain't going to change. From the times that we've already seen it, I would have to say that's a good scoring decision. So the runner's at first, despite the strikeout, which means that Ron Robinson now will have to get 4 outs in the 9th inning, and goes to work on Mookie Wilson. Pitch is taken high, ball 1. One ball, 1 strike. bullpens are busy. John Franco for Cincinnati. It looks like Roger McDowell is up and throwing for New York. And that ball, picked up by first base coach Bill Robinson, got out of the Reds bullpen. There's John Franco. And here's Ron Robinson's 1-1 to Wilson. Good fastball. Dykstra coming up next. They might get 2 out of this. They do. Taylor-made, despite Wilson's fine speed, because it was hit near the bag, and that's all Oster needed with that fine throwing arm of his. No contest. Mets find themselves down to their final out. And here's the play. That's a pass ball. I don't see how Bo Diaz can be upset about that call. It was not a difficult pitch to handle. It just got off of his glove and resulted in the bizarre turn of events that saw Billy DeMars eventually thrown out. A strike tonight. The 2-1. Now, what you don't want to see happen here is the Mets get a couple of folks on base and get into the heavy hitters. Keith Hernandez, Gary Carter. Robbie needs a strike. Couldn't get it. That'll bring up Tim Tupple, who will bat for the second time. Tupple pinch hit in the 7th inning for Wally Backman and drew a walk. To think Pete would bring Franco on to face Hernandez if Tupple keeps him alive. But Robbie throwing good. One ball, 2 strikes. And now this crowd of 23,707, the majority of whom are standing and applauding, anticipating the 27th New York out. Calms them down for just a minute, but the den will start up again. I'll tell you, this crowd has really been into this ball game. Runner at first, 2 down. Pitch. And they wanted it. But Jerry Davis said, too much inside, 2-2. He made the right call. Check Pete's reaction now. Well, the name of the game is to shut things down and close the door. Robinson, after getting Wilson to hit into the double play, prolonged the inning with a walk to that man, Len Dykstra. And after being in front, goes 3-2 on Tupple. And that one is hit well. And will get a run in, or will it? It bounces over the fence on a hop. And they will bring Len Dykstra back to third base. So the Reds get a break there because the run most assuredly would have scored. Now, let's see if Pete Rose goes to his bullpen and brings on Johnny Franco. Here he comes. We have seen it go against Cincinnati with the same type of situation where a ball bounces over the fence, depriving the Reds of a run. And that's what has happened here. So Ron Robinson could not, quote unquote, take it to the house. He will not get a chance any longer to get his 9th save of the season. Rather, it will be left-hander John Franco. Rose stopped to visit with plate umpire Jerry Davis. He is now gone to the mound. He has signaled for the left-hander Franco. And John will try and come on and get a very, very tough out. Second and third, 2 outs in the ninth, and the Reds leading 3-1. And we'll be back. We've seen a number of double switches tonight, and Pete Rose has just been forced to make one for Cincinnati as a result of a 2-out double by Tim Tuffle, a ground rule double that bounces over the fence in left center, meaning that Len Dykstra had to stop at third. So the Mets have the tying runs in scoring position, and the double switch, a new Reds battery. Sal Butera has gone behind the plate. He'll be batting ninth, and that man, left-hander John Franco, comes on to pitch and will be hitting in the number 4 position. It is left-hander against left-hander. Hernandez will bat against Franco, who leads the Reds relievers in saves with 15. 3-4 his record, 233 his earned run average, making his 44th appearance. There's the other half of the double switch. Hernandez 2 for 3, has walked, double, and single, and in the 7th grounded into a double play. So a base hit now for New York would tie it up. And again, you go back to that strange play involving Howard Johnson and the kicked baseball that has prolonged the Mets' ninth and put them in a position to even the score. Strike one. Have been batting a long time in the ninth. One of the fine clutch hitters in the National League, Hernandez, as you look at the base runners. Dykstra at third, Tuffle at second. With that nod of the head as Butera drops the sign down. 1 ball and 1 strike. Of course, John had that great series up in New York when the Reds swept him a couple of weeks ago. He picked up a win. He picked up a save on consecutive nights. And he is as aware as anybody that this game is being TV'd back to New York tonight. So he would like to put his best foot forward. Another tough customer waiting, Gary Carter. Did he go? He did. And now Hernandez getting bent out of shape. And Jerry Davis has been the focal point of irate baseball players on both sides. Did he go? Let's see. I don't think so. So Keith has to try and get his act back together again. And the great thing about this matchup, you have 2 guys who have ice water in their veins. John Franco and Keith Hernandez. Second and third, 2 outs. Parker. And this one, no! He dropped the ball. The Mets tie it up as Parker coughs up a routine fly ball in right field. And John Franco making no bones about the fact that he is very, very upset. Parker. That one-handed grab that has been one of his trademarks, but this time it betrays him in the worst type of situation. So not only does New York tie it up, but they have the go-ahead run at second. And Carter takes it way away. Two-base error by Dave Parker, and the Mets have come off the mat here in the 9th inning. Count evens up, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, John Franco certainly did his job. He got Keith Hernandez to hit a routine fly ball to right. The 5th error Parker has committed this season. Ball 2. We'll close the book on Ronnie Robinson. 1 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 unearned runs. He walked a batter. Who's going to catch this one? Look out. The inning is over. But 1 batter too late. 2 runs, 1 hit, 1 huge error, and 1 left. And at the end of 8 1/2, the Reds and the Mets are tied. Tuffle, and Perez is out number 1. Mario Soto threw the ball well last night. Had some control problems, which was to be expected considering the amount of time he's been away. But everybody liked the way he threw the baseball. He has had no problems 24 hours later. And the schedule to come back and make his next start over the weekend against Montreal. Base hit for Orosco. Ronnie found the hole despite the fine range of Keith Hernandez. Between Hernandez and the second baseman Tuffle as the Reds collect their 10th base hit. And that'll bring up catcher Sal Butera batting for the first time tonight. Sal, who's been behind the plate on a daily basis due to the left ankle injury suffered 2 weeks ago to Bo Diaz in New York. Batting .219, 2 homers and 10 RBIs. Oster going. 2 out. Butera hit it very hard. And had Oster not been going, of course, Knight coughed it up, but that's a double play ball under any circumstance. And would not have had to play at second anyway, but Butera doesn't run all that well, and Knight had a chance to recover. Now, Davey Johnson comes back to the mound, and this conversation involving everybody on the infield, no doubt will concern what do you want to do? Do you want to pitch to Venable? Do you want to walk in with first base open and take your chances against Buddy Bell? But don't forget, and I'm sure Davey Johnson knows all too well, that Bell is probably swinging the hottest bat average-wise in the Reds lineup at the moment. So despite the fact that Venable is a left-handed batter hitting against the right-hander Sisk, they may well be willing to pitch to him, although now we note they're not. They're going to put him on and will take their chances with Bell. Venable's run doesn't make a hoot of a difference anyway. Oster is the only one who counts, so Bell has a chance to send most of this crowd of 23,707 home happy. He has gone 2 for 4 with a single and a solo home run. This one a long one at Riverfront. Last night we went 3 hours and 7 minutes. There's Oster at second. And you see Venable leading off at first. Bell batting .259. fly to right in the 7th inning. Sisk unloads and almost threw a wild pitch. Davy Johnson, pitching coach Mel Stottlemyre. Two balls, no strikes. Reds attempting to pull it out in the bottom half of the 9th inning. And not this time. That ends a 9th for Cincinnati and ends a threat. The Reds no runs in the 9th inning, 1 hit, and 2 men left on. And at the end of 9 full innings of baseball, the Reds and the Mets are even at 3 apiece. Overtime. We're in the top half of the 10th inning, and there are the numbers. John Franco, who came on, and when the ball left Keith Hernandez's bat, looked like he had his 16th save of the season. But Dave Parker dropped it. 2 runs scored. The Reds failed in a 9th inning threat. And we go to the 10th. Their game at home against Philadelphia into a 10th inning, and the game is tied at 4 apiece. Ball 2. You've been doing a lot of running around, son, and it looked like the Reds had a win well in tow.
I went to Lake Cumberland, came back, and look what happened.
That evens a count on Mitchell, 2-2.
Is that a weird 9th inning or what?
Well, I guess, you know, when you're a club that has had the kind of year that New York has had, you're going to get a lot of breaks. And certainly they got 2 in the 9th inning that aided them immeasurably in tying the game up. But Parker's era, unbelievable. Good job by Franco. Mitchell's out of there.
Here it is again, and this is the pitch that John kind of turns over and twists into the right-hander, Kevin Mitchell, for the strikeout, and that's why Pete Rose says he is one of the most difficult left-handers against a right-hander, for right-handers to hit against. Boy, that ball just dives down there, and basically you're swinging at air every single time.
Davy Johnson will go to his bench and bring on a pitcher to bat for a pitcher. Doug Sisk scheduled a hit. It'll be Rick Aguilera, young man who pitched last night, 8 innings and picked up the win, and his homer twice this season. Ray Knight will follow Aguilera, and Franco quickly jumps in front, 2 strikes. New York definitely has things in their favor at the moment, simply because of the fact that Davy Johnson has not had to go to his 2 horses in the bullpen, those being, of course, Jesse Orosco and Roger McDowell, and still has them available. And it's clear now that Orosco will be facing Dave Parker and the rest of the Mets in the bottom of the 10th inning. 2-2. Cardinals 10, Giants 2, 6th inning. Montreal and Houston still scoreless, with Houston batting in the home 7th. There are the numbers for Aguilera: 3 for 23, 2 of which have left the park. And Franco behind now, 3-2.
Asking for trouble anytime you walk, even if the pinch hitter happens to be a pitcher. But in this situation, with the batters that this team has, boy.
Ray Knight is 1 for 4 as he seeks out the sign from third base coach Bud Harrelson. 5-4. Detroit behind Walt Terrell and 2 home runs from Johnny Grubb shut out Minnesota 3-0. And the Yankees romp over the beleaguered Texas Rangers 9-1. Rangers go down to their 6th consecutive defeat. Mets have a threat. Knight with his 2nd hit of the night and the 8th total for New York as he gets a glad hand from first base coach Bill Robinson. That'll bring up Howard Johnson. Myers, Sisk, and Orosco still to come. At an ill-timed wild pitch. And John Franco and the Reds are in deep, deep trouble now.
He is prone to doing that the way he throws because he throws so many sinkers and screwballs and pitches in the dirt to try and get batters to swing. This one pops in there. And Sal Butera just can't get down enough to block the plate and keep it in front of him as it rolls away almost towards the New York Mets dugout.
Well, that was a major league wild pitch because he bounced that ball in front of the plate. So now the infield is forced to come in. Our switch hitter, I should say, Mookie Wilson on deck. And this, of course, is a situation where you go for the strikeout. Two and two, and he almost uncorked another one. Second and third, 1 out. And a big strikeout.
Here it is again, that pitch that John kind of turns over and screws really into the right-handed swinging Howard Johnson, but really looks like a ball, Marty. But you think it's up there in the strike zone and you swing it almost, it looked like 4 inches without baseball.
They're going to intentionally walk Mookie Wilson. It's an interesting situation here because, well, you've got the left-handed batter Dykstra coming up next, and with first base open, so good strategy, really. But, of course, Dykstra a tough out. John Franco, I don't know that he has ever fully recovered from watching Parker drop that fly ball that would have been the final out of the game. I mean, it was no question, as the little Italian out of Brooklyn exhibited for all to see his disgust with the way things turned out.
It's almost feeling the shower hitting him in the face. The end of the game. Reds with a victory, 3-1, but Parker just could not hold on, and we're still here.
We saw the Reds fail in a 2-out threat in the bottom of the 9th that could have won it with a base hit. And now New York faced with a similar circumstance, although they've got the bases loaded with Dykstra standing in, and he's had 1 hit tonight, and that drove in a run. Lenny 1 for 4 with a walk. He got that walk in the 9th inning and scored 1 of the 2 runs. Murphy will have to wait for another day to, or rather Scott Terry, to pick up his first big league victory. But from an optimistic standpoint, he threw the ball very well in his second major league start against the best hitting club in the National League. And of course, Murphy threw the ball well. Robinson again had problems closing the door, and that has occurred a number of times of late. Should have been out of it, and now trying to get Dykstra and end this threat by New York. And he does. He got him with wall-to-wall gas. New York leaves the bases loaded. And after 9½, the Reds 3 and New York likewise.
A 3-3 ball game. Bottom of the 10th inning, and a new pitcher for the New York Mets, Jesse Orosco. His record 4-4, a 3.05 earned run average, 35 games. This is his 36th appearance this year. And he has had trouble saving games. He has the 13 saves, but just recently has been damaged down in Houston, earlier last week as well. Just trouble closing the door, a little like Ron Robinson of Cincinnati, where he has needed help from his right-handed partner, Roger McDowell.
Well, Dave Parker would like to make this at-bat against Jesse Orosco a moment of atonement. His drop fly ball off the bat of Keith Hernandez, it would have been the game-ending out, allowed the Mets to tie the game in the 9th inning. Ball 1. Parker 1 for 3, and that one hit a big one, a third-inning 2-run home run, his 20th. And you see Pete Rose waiting to bat next for pitcher John Franco. Ball 2. Should this game go to an 11th inning, the Mets would be batting off of Carl Willis. And there he is warming up. Got him with a breaking ball.
Look at it again. He had set up with the fastball extremely well, and then rides one on the outside portion of the plate and gets Dave waving at it.
Pete Rose comes off the bench. That leaves, if he is able to swing the bat, only one other position player left, and that would be Eric Davis. This obviously would be an ideal time for Davis to hit, so you have to wonder if he's incapable of it. That plus the fact that Rose, well, he's improved a bit of late, batting .250 against left-handers.
Rose really gets jammed inside and has to come out of it, and you see him going down as that left leg comes out from underneath him, and he takes a seat.
Pete, but 0 for 1 this season as a pinch hitter. Count evens, 1 ball, 1 strike. Scored 2 times in the 3rd. The Mets got 1 in the 5th. The Reds got that run back when Bell homered in the bottom of the 5th inning, and then the 2 unearned runs in the top of the 9th inning to tie it up for the Mets. Base hit. Well, Eric Davis coming off the bench.
But for Pete Rose, that is base hit number 43 this season. And that means 43 boxes of Nestle's Crunch going to the General Protestant Orphans Home as he comes up with a single to center field. Davis comes out there, and you've got to be thinking this guy will be going, who has 45 steals this year, tremendous speed, and very few catchers have been able to throw him out this season, including the Mets' own Gary Carter.
Well, he's 45 for 50, and while he's got a bad hand as a result of being hit on it a week ago Sunday in Montreal, it has not affected his ability to run. With 1 out, the winning run over at first, the batter Eddie McDowell. And he's hitting for the first time. Davis gets that big lead over at first. A ball. Don't be misled by that move. That is not Jesse Orosco's best bolt. And Eric Davis is full well aware of that. Didn't the best jump in the world, but he still outran the throw.
Man, you described it perfectly. Look, he makes the move back to first base and then goes. And look at this. He almost can get it standing up. That's just outright speed, Marty. It's incredible because Gary Carter is one of the best arms in baseball. The throw is a little bit high, but boy, Davis just eclipsing that with the terrific speed.
And as they meet on the mound, we'll pause 5 seconds for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds television network.
Sports Cincinnati style. WLWT Channel 5.
Steve, I made the point on radio, and it bears repeating in light of the fact Davis has just stolen a base. Gary Carter has had a terrible year throwing runners out. Opponents have attempted 133 steals this season against New York. That steal by Davis is a 106th base stolen. Mets catchers have thrown out 27 runners all year.
He has had arm troubles in the past, and you've heard all about those knee difficulties that he's had.
There's a strike. Now, Milner does not oftentimes get a chance to hit off of left-handed pitching. As a result, he does the left-handers very well. That's not a knock on Eddie. It's simply a matter of him not getting that much of an opportunity unless there are games like this. But a hit now would certainly get Davis in. Well, he was bailing on that pitch, and Davis said strike two.
The pitch was snapping itself into the strike zone. Looked like Eddie thinks it's going to be inside. Right there, 2-2.
Had a chance to win it. The bottom of the 9th inning, couldn't get the base hit. Mets had a chance to go out in front in the top of this 10th inning, couldn't do it. A hit now would win it for the home team. Here comes Davis to third. The throw, he's safe. And now look at this. Davis and Ray Knight. You're barking up the wrong tree when you go after Ray Knight, but look at Eric Davis. He still wants a piece of the Mets third baseman.
And Bruce Kim is right there to try and stop Eric Davis. Boy, they're still going at it.
That's Kevin Mitchell at the bottom of that
John
pile.
Denny's right on top of him.
And there's another guy you don't want to fool around with.
Denny is a karate expert. Boy, he is really. Bill Gullickson.
Gary Carter trying to calm Denny down. It all started when there was contact between Ray Knight and Eric Davis. Eric trying to stay on the base.
Look at the area around third base. It looks like a hockey match, like they dropped their gloves. Everybody dropped their hats and their gloves and just went at it. And there you see it. It looks like we're on the ice.
And look, you got a quick shot of Eric Davis and Tommy Helms. And Tommy, a pretty good battler in his day, has Davis completely removed from the scene of the action.
But did you see Eddie Milner get in there right now?
Yes, sir.
He's protecting his buddy Eric Davis. A lot of people will talk about, is there the kind of competition because they're battling for center field? Well, you saw the kind of friends they were. When Davis got into it, Eddie Milner was right there to bail him out.
There's another guy who got into the middle of it, and Kevin Mitchell, and Ray Knight is still hot. Being restrained by Ted Power. There's Davy Johnson pushing Ray away and trying to calm him down. And look at Kevin Mitchell. You don't want to make number 39 upset either. And right now,
look at Tommy Helms.
I think Ray Knight, rather Dave Parker, might be a little bit upset over Kevin Mitchell's demeanor.
Tommy Helms is earning his money tonight. He had tackled Eric Davis to keep him out of there. And now Dave Parker and Eric Gregg, who is he throwing out? He must be throwing out a ton of people because it has basically been a free-for-all.
Steve, I'll be honest with you. I don't see I can throw anybody out. Watch Davis. Here's where it started. He breaks for third. He easily beats the throw by Gary Carter. Now watch the contact.
The elbow, the shove from Knight, and here comes the right cross.
Bingo.
Boom.
That was a direct hit.
And Knight's getting rid of the glove, the baseball, and he wants that Eric Davis. Meantime, there comes Eddie Milner. And finally, Gary Carter gives it to Eric Davis for the tumble. And everybody comes piling out of the Reds dugout.
Where's Denny?
John Denny's right on top of that whole thing.
I don't think he's gotten into it yet.
A third time. The left elbow, the push back, and now it's time to retaliate, and there's the right. Boy, Ray Knight is a tough guy.
Hey, tell me about it.
Whoa.
I saw him drop Cesar Cedeno here about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was no contest. Look at Parker.
He's just pulling guys off. John Denny. And Wade Rowden is just trying to keep Eric Davis out of it, so it's Doug Harvey, the first base umpire.
Okay, Ray Knight is seemingly calmed down, still being talked to by his manager, Davy Johnson. Eric Davis, he is right there between third and home. The umpires conferring behind the mound, Jerry Davis, Eric Gregg, Doug Harvey. That is what you call, Steve, a good old good one.
Yes, sir. Now the situation here, you still have Davis on third. You still have Ray Knight at third. Tommy Helms replaces Billy DeMars, who's been tossed. But where does Tommy Helms stand? He's got to be thinking something may develop in the near future. Because each of those guys are going to be eyeing the other, saying, when are we going to go for it?
I don't think you'll see any reoccurrence tonight.
Perhaps not.
They're going to give him plenty of time to calm down, but the Reds dugout is at the ready, and Parker at the forefront.
Marty, there were some New York writers reading some of the New York papers, the Times, the Post, and they were saying perhaps when the Mets lost those 3 straight to the Cincinnati Reds that they were becoming complacent. I think you can rule out complacency.
Well, I would agree with that. You got some pretty good battlers on both of these clubs. Ray Knight is about as good as there is, and as mild-mannered a guy as you'll ever meet. But boy, when you get him upset, you better circle the wagons. And Eric Davis showed me something too. Now Pete and Davy Johnson, the two managers, meeting with the umpires.
What you hope for is to go into the clubhouse after the game and find out that no one has been injured. A lot of times the guy will go down there and you won't know it right away, but find out later that some guy had his shoulder roughed up. But it all happened when Eric Davis was at second base and stole third, and Eddie Milner took a swing and a miss, and he is struck out. Wade Rowden will be at the plate.
Well, whatever the decision rendered by the umpires, whatever it's going to be, Pete Rose is satisfied because he's left. He's gone back to the dugout. And And Davy Johnson appears to be upset over whatever they have decided to do, if anything. So we'll have to see if anybody has been thrown out.
Here it is again. Here comes Dave Parker storming in, pushes Bill Robinson away, tries to pull away Sid Fernandez and Howard Johnson.
Look at him.
That's a big guy. It looks like he's taking apart a building. Eddie Milner, one of the smallest Reds, is in the middle of it all. And Davy Johnson, I believe, has just been given the old heave-ho. As Ray Knight, though.
Well, he's still out on the field. He's talking with Doug Harvey now in front of the pitcher's mound.
I believe Davis has too, because he's talking with Eric Gregg, and he's really in a jaw session right now.
And now Pete Rose coming back out of the dugout and going over to eavesdrop on the conversation between Eric Gregg and Eric Davis. And Pete, as you can see, trying to get Eric away from him, and young Mr. Davis still all bent out of shape. So Steve, I believe you're right. Eric Davis has been pitched out, and Ray Knight is slowly going back to the dugout. He has also been thrown out. And there it is again.
You can see Ray Knight reading his lips. He said, "What's wrong with you?" when he got the shove, and then he got the punch in. And we're seeing it for like the fourth, fifth time. Yes, sir. Ride 'em, cowboy. Carter got the takedown, just needed that old rope, lasso up the feet.
Well, I'll tell you what, there wasn't any fooling around in this one. Many times you see baseball fights where they're all just standing out there and squaring off with an imaginary line in the middle, but not this time. So Davis, upset, has been thrown out. And Tom Browning is going to go to third base and run for Eric Davis. And I'll tell you, these two clubs are down to precious few people. Looking down the New York Met roster, all they have available is a backup catcher, Ed Hearn, and that's it.
All right, here's my question, Marty. They have to find a replacement for Ray Knight at third base. What do they do there? Santana is out of the lineup.
Right.
You've got Rowden in. Do you look and see where that new third baseman might be playing? If he's a new guy, they could bring Mitchell in, I would imagine.
I would think so, and they're going to have to run a pitcher to the outfield, and it's as simple as that. Now, Ed Hearn is putting on the catching gear, so we'll see how this thing unfolds, but in light of the fact that Ed Hearn is the only available position player that the Mets have at their disposal, a pitcher is going to have to go out and play some position. And should this game go to an 11th inning, the same thing will hold true for Cincinnati, because Eric Davis has been thrown out of the game. Pete Rose, of course, could stay in, but you are going to see somebody end up in a position that's none too familiar to him on both sides. The public address announcer has just made an announcement that did not sit too well with the crowd here at Riverfront. We were unable to hear it. Now, who's going to go play third? Gary Carter is going to go to third base, and Ed Hearn is going to go behind the plate. Tom Browning is running for Eric Davis, and Roger McDowell is going to right field.
We had a lot of guys thrown out of this old ball game.
Kevin Mitchell has been thrown out. Not surprising. And this crowd acting a little unsportsmanlike, if you will, by the way they react to what has transpired here. Well, you got got Keith Hernandez at first. You've got Ed Hearn behind the plate. Gary Carter is going to play third base. Mookie Wilson in left. Lenny Dykstra in center. Roger McDowell, the pitcher, goes to right field. Ed Hearn, we mentioned, is catching. Tim Tupple still at second base, and Howard Johnson at shortstop. So Ray Knight has been thrown out, and Kevin Mitchell has been ejected. And we will wait to see who has been pitched for Cincinnati. We know Eric Davis has.
One more time.
Bingo.
Oh, look at that. Here comes Eddie Milner. He gets right in there, getting Jesse Orosco out of the picture. Carter eliminates Eric Davis, and Parker starts taking the puzzle apart.
Well, this mess could all be decided if Wade Rowden can get a base hit off Jesse Orosco. But he will not be hitting off of Orosco. He's going to be hitting off of Roger McDowell, and Jesse Orosco is going to go to right field.
This is like the old Little League games. Remember when the right fielder would come in to pitch? And there you see Kevin Mitchell getting into it and going after one of the Reds down there in the bottom. John Denny is right on top of him, who knows a little bit about the martial arts, and, well, showing it because he's the guy on top. Kind of controlling matters. As John Franco is being held back. And Bill Gullickson. And a little love affair between Gary Carter and John Denny. Spaghetti tomorrow night. It looks like Arnold's. That's where they're going.
I'll tell you, this is unbelievable. And there's a man who was in a bizarre situation a couple of years ago up in Chicago when Steve Ripley ruled that ball foul. I'm talking about on the field. I'm not talking about off the field. Steve Ripley ruled that ball Ron Say hit. Oh, you're talking about the Claudel Washington incident. And Soto, I'm sure, is saying, thank God I was not the focal point of this one tonight. So Roger McDowell will be facing Wade Rowden with 2 outs and the winning run at third, and you see Jesse Orosco going over to center to visit with Mookie Wilson and Len Dykstra and saying, hey guys, how about some pointers on playing the outfield?
You know what they could do? They could put McDowell in there for the right-handers and Orosco in there for the left-handers.
Don't be too surprised.
I know. That will take us right back to our Little League days.
Wouldn't it be nice if Wade Rowden can get a hit and end this thing?
Well, right now, look how far back Gary Carter is playing at third base. And you have to understand that he is a newcomer to that position. At first base, I know a little bit in the preseason.
Okay, Browning running for Davis. Orosco moves from pitcher to right field. Ed Hearn now catching. Gary Carter goes from behind the plate to third. And Roger McDowell on the mound. And there's Ray Knight. We saw a quick look at Ray kneeling in the stairwell over in the Mets dugout. Eddie Milner, by the way, was struck out on the Davis steal at third base. So there are 2 men out. That out was easy to overlook in light of what transpired after. Rowden has had 1 of the 11 Cincinnati hits. He singled back in the 6th inning. You mentioned how deeply Gary Carter was playing third, Steve. He has now moved in a few steps.
He has.
Ball 1. McDowell was the losing pitcher Sunday in that 15-inning 9-8 Met loss to Houston.
And he pitched pretty well. 3 innings, gave up the 1 run.
He has lost 4 in a row since going 7-0 at the outset of the season. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 strikes. Teams are out of players. That is position players. So pitchers will become very prominent if this game goes any longer. Already one is in right field, Jesse Orosco. A 2-2 count on Rowden. And we go to the 11th inning. He gave it his best shot. But in the 10th, and a long 10th it was, no runs, 1 hit, 1 left. After 10 innings of baseball, it's tied in a wild one at Riverfront. Well, we go to the top of the 11th inning, and as we look at the Reds on the field, none of the position players who were on the field when the Mets batted in the 10th inning have been thrown out. That is, the lineup remains the same. Tony Perez, you saw it first. Here's Ron Oster at second base. Wade Rowden still at short. Buddy Bell still manning things over at third base. And the outfield remains the same. Max Venable in left field. Over in center, Eddie Milner still out there. And Dave Parker remains out in right. And Sal Butera still behind the plate and catching. Okay, those who were ejected. For New York, we told you Kevin Mitchell and Ray Knight. For Cincinnati, Eric Davis. And are you ready for this? Mario Soto was thrown out. And I tell you, Steve, in all the times we've seen the replays of that fight, I haven't seen Soto yet.
Maybe it's just for breaking parole, I guess, something like that.
Carl Willis is on the mound, and first pitch hitting a fly ball that Eddie Milner will gather in center field, and Tuffle is gone on 1 pitch.
Well, there's Mario with Kevin Mitchell and Tom Browning trying to break it up, but that's apparently what the umpire spotted when Keith Hernandez made the tackle of Mario.
John Franco worked an inning and 1/3, allowed 1 hit, no runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 1 of them intentional. And Willis snakes that one over on the outside. It's 2-1 on Keith. This will be a game, I'm sure, that neither club will long forget, nor will the fans have any problem remembering. Tony couldn't get it, and let's see if Hernandez will go to second. He's going to try. Parker's throw coming, and it'll not be in time. And Hernandez hit that bag hard, but he's all right.
He has hit the ball hard every single time tonight. He has the 3 hits. He grounded into a 4-6-3 double play where he hit the ball hard, and the shot to Parker was a long-distance smash as well. So now he has a pair of doubles, a walk, and a base hit.
Gary Carter will bat, the catcher turned third baseman. Dodgers have beaten the Pirates by a run. Philadelphia edges Atlanta by 1 as Carter gets the intentional walk. Montreal and Houston, they're in the 10th inning, and neither team has scored, while the Cardinals lead San Francisco 10-4 in the 8th. This game is heading toward 4 hours. And there's ball 4 to Carter. That means that catcher Ed Hearn steps in for his first at-bat. Hearn batting .311, 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. He has been more than an adequate backup for Gary Carter. Nice play by Rowden. Double play. Play by Wade Rowden. That will go 1-6-3 because Willis tipped it, and Rowden does a tight back. A super play by Rowden. The ball was ticked by Willis. The short hop, and then the leap, and the double play that ends the inning. In the middle of the 11th, on that great play by Rowden, we stay tied at 3. Bounced out to second in the 9th inning, and officially 1 for 3. Another hit. $2,701 knocks for Tony Perez. I'll tell you, Steve, so many hitters in this league have trouble with Roger McDowell. Tony Perez doesn't.
It's been uncanny. Well, he smashes one back up the middle just like he did at Shea Stadium a couple of weeks ago to score Dave Parker on a drawn-in infield, and Perez solves Roger again.
They had looked for Ron Oster to try and put a bunt down. Of course, Tony does not run all that well, so it would have to be a good one if that's what they have Oster doing. And it is a good one. And a good play by Gary Carter. Fine bunt by Ron Oster.
There it is again. And again, Carter going at it, making sure he just gets that baseball, and you know he's got the fine arm. And boy, he throws a BB across to second baseman Tim Tuffle.
Okay, they've got the light-hitting Sal Butera stepping in. Do they pitch to him? They will. Carter acquitting himself very well over there at third base.
Here you see it from Gary Carter's angle. He takes it on the second hop, third hop, nice and easy, looks the guy back like he's been playing there his whole life.
And now Jesse Orosco is going to come back in from right field.
This is great.
It really is. Roger McDowell heads toward the dugout. He's going to go in and get another glove. And he will go back to play right field.
And he's got a smile on his face, too. He's thinking of the old, well, really the knothole league here in Cincinnati. And that used to be a living for him. Pitch a couple of innings, go out and play right field for a while.
You know, the thing about this, though, Steve, the manager really plays a calculated risk when you switch him back and forth like Davey Johnson's doing, simply because now Orosco comes from right field cold. And he gets the minimum number, he gets a maximum number of pitches, 8 pitches, and then it's play ball again. Now Pete is upset over something, and Doug Harvey, the crew chief, is walking over to the Cincinnati dugout. And I can't imagine what this might be about. I would think that he would only be allowed the maximum 8 pitches, Jesse Orosco. And Pete making whatever point he's trying to make with Doug Harvey. And George Sugar was particularly upset over in the Reds dugout. Tell you one thing, this game is absolutely taxing the expertise of the umpires. And that weird play in the 9th inning when Howard Johnson kicked the ball after striking out. And now Davey Johnson interchanging his right fielder and pitcher, who both happen to be pitchers by trade. Max Venable, the man scheduled to bat, and when you consider the Reds don't have anybody else, he will bat. Orosco came on to pitch the 10th inning. He was the man who struck Milner out when Davis picked up the steal of third. Then came the fight, and then when order was restored, they brought McDowell in to pitch to Wade Rowden, with Orosco going to right because Kevin Mitchell had been thrown out of the game. So there's old Roger back out in right field again. Reds are playing this game under protest because they contend that Orosco was not allowed to throw as many warm-up pitches as he was given. He is facing Max Venable, and the pitch is taken strike.
Pete's going over the rule book to make sure just what the criteria is bringing another position player on, I would imagine, and how many warm-up tosses that man should be allowed.
And the foul back evens the count on Venable, 2-2. I can remember shortly after 10 o'clock, Lou Rainoni and Roy Alfers telling you to go down to the field and get ready for interviews because we would have to fill until 10:30.
That was 1 hour and 40 minutes ago.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we may have to fill through the royal wedding when this thing comes to an end. Or we may preempt it at the rate we're going. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Full count. And for you stations along our Reds television network line, don't forget, along with the viewers in your respective markets, the local news will be coming along in its entirety once this marathon comes to a conclusion. And hopefully it will be a satisfying one, especially so if Venable can base hit Orosco and get Tony Perez in. He couldn't do it. In the 11th for Cincinnati, no runs, 1 hit. Perez left at second, and a 12th inning of baseball coming up with the Reds and the Mets still deadlocked. That is not hieroglyphics you are looking at. That is a lineup card. That is Cincinnati's lineup card. And you can see all the names that have been crossed off and the additions that have been made. And, well, down at the bottom part of that lineup card, you see the names that have been scratched through. In effect, what it means is that there ain't nobody else left unless you want to go to a pitcher. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Pete Rose, George Sugar, and Bruce Kim are still mulling over a rule book. It might be a case book. It might be an umpire's case book, which is about as plentiful as hen's teeth. You don't see too many of them, but they are around, and I would imagine managers in all the clubs in baseball have one. But here we go, and we're in the top half of the 12th inning, and the first pitch to Orosco is taken, ball 1 from Carl Willett. On deck, the other pitcher outfielder, Roger McDowell. Orosco swung that bat like he knew what he was doing, and Oster got to it and made the play.
Besides Aguilera, if you're talking about pretty good hitters, McDowell would be right in there. His average this year is 364.
Mercy.
4 for 11.
Have mercy.
417 on base percentage.
4 singles, and he's only struck out twice in his 11 at bat, so he doesn't swing the bat bad at all.
Playing like a right fielder.
Mets have used 6 pitchers. The Reds have used 5. 12th inning. Butera watches it sail out of play. Tell you what, a lot of the 23,707, or to be more precise about it, the majority are still here. And we are 4+ hours now. Getting a announcements made right and left concerning the things that had gone on in this ball game, and we're having problems picking up that particular announcement from Reds Vice President of Publicity Jim Ferguson. We'll try and check it out and let you know what's up. Rowden has to go to the hole, and there's that good arm. 2 out. So 2 Mets pitchers back to back here in the 12th inning, and both hit the ball pretty well. Oster went off to his right to pick Orosco, and Rowden has to range deep in the hole to throw out McDowell. Howard Johnson had a chance to put his club in front in the 10th inning with 2 out and the bases loaded, and Johnny Franco just blew him away. And look at the studious intent of one George Scherger. Cardinals beat the Giants 10-7, and Houston knocked off Montreal 1-0. So the Astros continue to win the close one. Well, I know you just gotten an earful of information because you had the pleasure of visiting with the inimitable Jay Horowitz, the publicity director for the New York Mets.
Well, that's a funny one, too.
1-1 pitch.
The Mets dugout is protesting because the Reds lost, or actually the New York Mets lost 2 position players, and the Cincinnati Reds lost a player from off their bench, Mario Soto. They did not feel that was an equitable transaction, I guess. So they are protesting because they thought the Reds should also have lost 2 position players.
Not an even swap, in other words.
Right. Player to be named later is what they want.
Venable will get this, and Willis gets him out in order. Good job by Carl Willis. 3 up, 3 down. Home half of the 12th inning coming up, and hopefully it will bring an end to it. Game is tied at 3. Buddy Bell will lead off the bottom of the 12th for Cincinnati, and surprisingly, Jesse Orosco, the left-hander, will pitch to him. Now, we have been fortunate to receive some information while we were away concerning the Reds' protest over the fact that the umpires allowed Jesse Orosco more than the normal amount of warm-up pitches when he came in from right field in the last inning to pitch to Max Venable. We understand that official scorer Glenn Sample has sought out and found the rule in the book, and based on what we have been told, the Reds have no grounds for a protest. But 1 protest by the Mets, 1 protest by the Reds, and still this game is in doubt. Buddy, who homered way back eons ago in the 5th inning, his second hit of the night, and he's 2 for 5 as he steps in here. So DeMuth finds something untoward on the field and removes it. Golf ball. Bell, and a ball. Reds have hit the Mets 12-9. Cincinnati has committed the 2 errors in the game, and well, nobody has scored since New York tied it up in the 9th inning on Parker's 2-run error. 2-0. There's old Roger McDowell out of Coleraine High School out in right field, praying that nobody hits a ball to him. 2-2. Or 2-1. 2 balls and 1 strike. Could have won it in the bottom of the 9th, could have won it in the bottom of the 10th, could have won it in the bottom of the 11th. Sooner or later, something has to give. Good play by the 3rd baseman, Carter. He dropped it. Safe at first. Base hit for Buddy Bell. And a heck of a try by Gary Carter.
Boy, yes, it was. Carter lunges for it, has it momentarily, then loses it right there. It would have been a line out. He finds the baseball. By that time, Buddy Bell barely beats it out. And I mean just barely. He has the out right there, but when he comes up, doesn't have the baseball. But I tell you what, he's looking pretty sharp over there at third.
Now there is a switch in the New York outfield. As the meeting takes place on the mound, Roger McDowell goes to left field, and Mookie Wilson moves over to play right. There's McDowell going to his position in left, and there's Wilson going to play right field. Steve, I've seen a lot of baseball in 12-plus years, and I'm seeing things tonight I never dreamed I'd see in a big league game. Ted Power will start to heat up. Parker led off the 10th inning against Orosco and was struck out swinging. He is 1 for 4, a 2-run home run. Now, Carl Willis is on deck, and with Ted Power throwing in the bullpen, then that's exactly the point I was going to make. John Denny will be the man to pinch hit for Carl Willis. Not a bad hitter as pitchers go, and he's got that club in his hand. We will probably see him bat for Willis. Come on, buddy. Nope. Well, now you got to get the sacrifice bunt down. So Willis sheds the jacket, and he will go up, trying to advance both runners into scoring position. Davy Johnson looking at the lineup card, but there's really not a whole lot to look at.
Obviously, you want to get both of them over. But what the Reds would like to do is make sure that guy from second base, Buddy Bell, does advance to third. Obviously, you'd want that guy from first base to move on to second. So I would imagine, try and push it down the first base side.
Yeah, but you've got a great first baseman in Hernandez.
Yes, you do.
Of course, you've got a slow runner at second in Buddy Bell. You've got to have the same kind of bunt here that the Reds got out of Ronnie Oster in the 11th after Tony Perez had led off with a single. And Hernandez is the best at charging in situations like this, and he's coming and coming some more, and he's got to play at third, and they might have a double play. They do. That's the problem you have, and Willis bunted into suicide.
Marty, interesting on that play, they had the shortstop way over at second base, and I'm wondering if they bunt the third base side. Carter's got to make the play, and they have no play at third base. But the Reds bunted right back. Hernandez picks it up. Boy, he's really racing in. And Carter is playing a mean third base. And that hurt.
Sure did. Teddy Milner. And the percentage goes back in favor of New York. Milner looked at a called third strike when Davis stole third in the 9th inning, and then came the 10th inning rather, and then came the fight. And he takes that curveball for a strike. 2-2. Carl Willis did bat for himself, so Power quickly stopped throwing. That means Willis will go back into 13. Unless he scores, and Parker, with a little body language, trying to encourage Milner to put the ball in play and hope for the best. Put it in play, but it's going to be a routine fly ball that Dykstra tracks and makes the catch. He cut right in front of Roger McDowell. You want Dykstra to play that ball. And that means we go to a 13th inning as Orosco gets the job done with some help from his friends. Still tied at 3. After 12, 3, 14, and 2 for Cincinnati. 3 runs, 9 hits, and no errors for New York. It looks like Mrs. Schott has decided to pack it in after a long night at the ballpark. We go to the 13th inning, and right now we'll pause 5 seconds for station identification on the Cincinnati Reds television network.
Sports Cincinnati style. WLWT Channel 5.
Mookie Wilson, Carl Willis. The one-on-one confrontation here in the top of the 13th. Had enough on it, and the 10th hit of the night for New York. Now the Mets have a runner on who can make some things happen.
Mookie has 13 steals this year, and he's been caught only one time.
It'll be interesting to hear Mr. Rose's comments after this one, win or lose. And Steve, you know, it's ridiculous to even say it, but it bears repeating. This is a game the Reds had won. And this is a kind of game that can have a lasting effect on a ball club, especially one that had been going so well. Had lost last night due to some fine pitching, although they had opportunities, and had this game won with 1 out to go on a fly ball to right that Parker could not play. If they come on and win it, fine. Whoops, very close play, and Wilson might have been going had Willis gone to the plate.
Just didn't get back there.
There he goes. Fine play by Tony Perez. He picked that ball off, and Dykstra's gone, and Wilson moves to second base.
Perez making the play, just hugging the line as he was positioned to try and keep Mookie Wilson close. So he was on the line anyway, and Dykstra was able to pull it down the line. Tony just picks it off and steps on first base.
So 1 away with a go-ahead run standing at second and Wilson, and the batter Tim Tuffle. Tuffle drew a walk in the 7th, kept things going in the 9th inning with a 2-out double to left center off Ron Robinson, and came in to score and fly it out on the 11th. And guess who's on deck? Seems like he comes up every inning. Keith Hernandez. That way all the time. Make a lot of money in this game.
You better believe it.
There's the fellow we were talking about.
For about 4 more of those. 1 to this guy and 3 to Hernandez.
Good job against Tuffle.
Here it is again. And it is indeed that split-fingered fastball that just drops right out of there.
By no means is Carl out of the woods yet because of Hernandez, who has had 3 hits tonight with a walk. And they will take the bat out of his hands and see how Willis can fare against Gary Carter, a right-handed batter, coming up next. There's Carter. Willis issuing his 2nd walk, and both have been intentional. What's that catchy little phrase? Am I having fun yet?
Marty, are you having fun yet? You have since 7:30 tonight.
Hey, this will turn out to be fun.
As if the team when the red and white wins.
Thank you. While they issue an intentional walk to Hernandez here in the 13th, Willis walked intentionally Gary Carter in the 11th with a runner at second base and 1 out. And then Ed Hearn promptly bounced into a double play. But it was a super play by Wade Rowden to make it happen. Now Willis pitching to Carter with the intent of getting him out, and he's in front of strike. At the plate is gone without a hit in 5 official trips. And that's all for New York and Gary Carter. Hats off to Carl Willis. No runs in the 13th. A hit with 2 left. And after 12 1/2, 3-3 it remains. Well, through 13 at-bats, the New York Mets have left a total of 16 men on base. And through 12 at-bats, the Reds have stranded a total of 11. And Roger McDowell has come back to the mound to pitch. And Jesse Orosco has gone back to right field. Wade Rowden leading off the home 13th for Cincinnati. With a base hit in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 5. Had a chance to win it in the 10th inning with McDowell on the mound and grounded out to second to leave a runner at third. And here's a big bouncing ball in the hole. Here's Johnson, and a good arm by Howard Johnson from deep in the hole to knock Rowden off. It's certainly become a major factor. 2 balls and 1 strike. They have already exceeded their longest game in terms of innings. The Reds played a 12-inning game at Pittsburgh on the 23rd of May and against the Giants on the 27th of June. Hit hard, but unfortunately at Orosco. And Jesse handles it like a man playing right field for a lot of years. 2 men out. The longest game the Reds have played time-wise. They bettered that. 4 hours and 31 minutes in that June 27th game against the San Francisco Giants. They bettered that tonight. So the most innings the Reds have played in the game this season, and the longest in terms of time. McDowell doing his thing. 2 outs. And he's even on Oster. 1 ball, 1 strike. That'll be a nice way to celebrate the birth of his first son. Crunching one out of here.
I would imagine Jackie and Jacob Maxwell are fast asleep by this time.
Jeffrey, my boy. Here's a 3-2. Broke his bat. Tuffle to Hernandez. And hey, we got a 14th inning coming up. The Reds go out in order. And through 13 big ones. Cincinnati, New York, still tied at 3. We are so pleased to have you still with us as we go to the top half of inning number 14 at Riverfront. And Carl Willis, who has pitched very fine baseball, as we look at what transpired one more time in the 10th inning. An excellent right cross delivered by Ray Knight. And that touched off one of the good ones that you will see and maybe ever will see in Major League Baseball. Time does not permit us to show you it in its entirety, but take it from us, if you missed it, you missed a dandy. It resulted in the ejection of Kevin Mitchell and Ray Knight for New York, and Eric Davis and Mario Soto for Cincinnati. And really, I've got to say, quite honestly, the umpires probably looked the other way in terms of ejecting anybody else. Here's Ed Hearn leading off 14th round for New York. He's a guy who hit into that double play that Rowden turned so magnificently back in the 11th. The strike one pitch. Hearn goes to second. Boy, I'll tell you, that was a funky looking play. Milner broke over toward the gap. Parker broke over. Eddie drifted back and elected to play it safe and play it on a bounce. Watch Milner. There he goes back on the ball to play it on the hop, and almost had it go over his head, and then he and Parker try to pick up the hot potato, and Hearn goes to second, credited with a 2-base hit.
you've got a couple of pitchers, also right fielders coming up there, but it's Orosco and McDowell. Both have been switching off between right field and on the mound, but they'll be back to back.
Jesse Orosco after visiting with third base coach Bud Harrelson. Well, the one thing he knows how to do is bunt. And I would be awfully surprised if they had him up there doing anything but that. But who knows? We've seen so many bizarre things in this game that it would not be totally surprising. To be honest about it, because after the final game of this series tomorrow night, or later on today, we should say, the Reds have the suspended game to complete at 6:05 Thursday against Montreal, and then the regular game. And Willis cannot get a pitch over. Here's the situation where the opposition is giving up and out to try and advance a runner to third, and the pitcher can't get the ball over the plate. Got that one over, 3-1. Orosco is looking at Bud Harrelson, the third base coach, and now he will verbalize the instruction from manager Davey Johnson. Ball 4. Here comes Pete Rose, and he's going to make a pitching change, no doubt. Willis has done a fine job in the time he's been out there, but boy, a very, very costly walk to Jesse Orosco. And the signal has already gone down for Ted Power, who leaves the Reds bullpen and heads out toward the mound. You're right, Steve, and he pitched well last night. He pitched 2 perfect innings in the first game of this series, and now McDowell will try to do what Orosco was instructed to do, and that's bunt. No, he's not. He's swinging away.
Wow.
The Mets show 2 runners on and nobody out. Hearn led off by doubling into right center. Willis unable to get his pitches over, walked Orosco, who was trying to bunt. It issued the walk on 5 pitches, and now Power facing McDowell, and he swings away again, and it's 0-2.
We had it all set up, didn't we, Marty? Bunt the guy over?
Well, this is not bad strategy. I don't totally disagree with this, because you've got a similar situation to what the Reds had in the 12th inning when Buddy Bell was at second base and the Reds bunted into a double play. Ed Hearn cannot run well either. And unless it was a perfect bunt by Roger McDowell, the Mets would stand a high degree of chance of having the same thing happen to them.
But the Reds had taken the wheel play off, which means Rowden isn't going to cover third base anymore.
That's true. And that's a strikeout.
And a big one. McDowell tries to get the bunt down this time, and the great breaking pitch, and that has been Power's money pitch lately. The curveball, the slider, it's been basically the curveball lately he's been getting over.
1 down, 2 men on. Howard Johnson steps in. The die-hard baseball fans, boy, they're hanging right in here. And a 2-ball, 2-strike count on that foul back. In the 5th inning in Anaheim, Milwaukee 4, Angels nothing. In the 5th inning in Seattle, the Mariners lead the Toronto Blue Jays by a run, 6-5. So the only other action in Major League Baseball at the moment being played on the West Coast. A win would allow the Reds to move into a 3rd-place tie with San Diego. A loss would drop them 7 full games behind Houston, who won an extra inning game, 1-0 over Montreal on a Glenn Davis home run. Hit well. And New York gets a 3-run lead on that home run by Howard Johnson. It is 6-3 New York. And boy, they start to head for the exit now.
At it once again. Howard Johnson gets the breaking pitch that Ted cannot get down. It is about belt high, and Johnson delivers it nearly into the second deck. Looks like it may have made it.
I'll tell you, extra inning games have been poison this season for Ted Power. 1-1 on Mookie Wilson, and New York leading 6-3. Will play it, and the inning is over. But New York comes up with 3 runs on 2 hits. A big blow, the homer by Johnson. And in the middle of the 14th, Mets 6, Reds 3. Reds have their work cut out for them as they stare at a 3-run deficit. The first time tonight that Cincinnati has trailed in this game. And Roger McDowell 3 outs away from picking up his 8th win of the year. He would be the beneficiary of Howard Johnson's 3-run home run. Sal Butera leads it off for Cincinnati, and he's looking for a hit. Not tonight. 1 out. 7 is out of first place. And all the good things that they have been able to accomplish in the last few weeks are starting to fall apart.
And roller coaster ride down again.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Venable. There's a man who committed the error in the 9th inning that allowed New York to tie it up. Dave Parker. Hit it hard, but right at the second baseman. Couple plays, and the Reds find themselves down to their final out. From an individual standpoint, Buddy Bell has had a good evening. He's collected 3 hits. He has sent his batting average up over the 260 mark. McDowell working, and it's at the knees for a call strike. Well, I'd admit Doug got a little happier now as you see the smile on the face of manager Davey Johnson and the obvious depression that permeates the Reds dugout. Nice play by Johnson, and the Mets win the marathon. Here in the 9th inning, the 14th inning, Cincinnati goes